All right, Psalms 137. This is a psalm that was written probably either during the time of the exile or shortly after the Babylonian exile. So this is not necessarily an Old Testament hymn or song. Well, it technically is because it was in Old Testament time period. But Psalms 137 is much later than most of the Old Testament. So this is again, the Old Testament is soon to be ending by the time this psalm was written from a chronological standpoint. Because this is talking about the captivity in Babylon. And again, that was 585 BC. So in the scriptures, the Old Testament ends around 200 BC. So we're chronologically towards the end of the New Old Testament. I mean, when this psalm was created. So let's go through this psalm to understand more from a poetic standpoint about this exile of Babylon that Israel experienced. Verse 1, by the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down, yea, we wept when we remembered Zion. So they're out of Zion, they're away from Jerusalem, they're out in there, they've been occupied. Babylon has crushed Jerusalem and has exiled the people out of there and taken them back to Babylon. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them were. And now they're saying, we're in Babylon, we're living in this new place, but we are remembering Jerusalem and Zion, basically, and we're sad about it because it got destroyed and it was wicked. Verse 2, we hanged our harps upon the willows in the midst thereof. For there they that carried us away captive required of us a song. So their captors, the Babylonians, were saying, sing us a song. In fact, they said, and they that wasted us required of us mirth, saying, sing us one of the songs of Zion. So the Babylonians are saying, sing us one of your folk songs. And so that's what they were asked to do. And of course, their response in verse 4, how shall we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? So they're like, this is not an appropriate place for us to sing songs of praise to our God when we're not in the Holy Land itself. This reminds me of in the Lord of the Rings, in the Return of the King, when Theoden asked Mary about sing me a song of your people, and he's like, our songs are not meant for great halls or such times as this. Kind of an idea, that thought comes to mind when I think of this psalm. But yeah, so the Israelites are distraught. They are distraught with the destruction that they have faced. In fact, verse 5, it says, if I forget thee, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget her cunning. So now they're going, I do not want to forget Israel. If I do forget Jerusalem, if I forget my heritage, then let my right hand forget how effective it is. Forget the habits that I've used to use it for. Verse 6, if I do not remember thee, let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth. If I prefer not Jerusalem above my chief joy. So again, putting this idea out that I do not want to forget my heritage. I do not want to forget Jerusalem and Israel and my God and my religion. Even though I'm in a new, strange land, I'm being forced to relocate and forced to live in a society that I don't want to be a part of. Verse 7, remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof. Now, raise it means tear it down. Basically, if you raise a building, R-A-S-E, it means to tear it down. R-A-I-S-E is to build it up. Raise up. Raise as in tear down. Interesting how they sound the same, but spelled a little different. So he says, remember that the Edomites wanted to destroy Jerusalem. Verse 8, O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed, happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us. So talking about how the prophecies are Babylon will be destroyed at some point. God will destroy Babylon. A lot of those come from Isaiah, if I remember right. Verse 9, happy shall he be, this is God, that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stones. So talking about how basically Babylon just being destroyed and utterly wiped out is coming. God, not that God will delight in destroying Babylon, but Babylon will need to be destroyed at some point, basically. And this is more not so much the literal kingdom, even though the literal kingdom eventually was destroyed. It kind of, Babylon, if I remember right, while it was taken over by the Persians, wasn't destroyed. It was just occupied, basically taken over and rolled into the new Persian Empire that was growing. But Babylon, as a standpoint of the wickedness of the world, is something that will be destroyed. That's the last days, the millennial reign, second coming type idea. All wickedness will be wiped out, kind of idea. I think that's what they're alluding to in that last part. It's more the last day stuff. So let's jump over into our next psalm as we continue to learn more from this great Hebrew poetry.